Every single day, you are making mistakes in your business that cost you money. But worse than that, they're hurting the people around you who are not buying your products and services. I'm Trevor Crane, and I have a webinar coming up that I'm preparing for, and I'm working really hard to bring you the best possible training that I can give away to you, because there has yet to be a business I've ever met or worked with or business owner where there's not just a ton of extra money lying around that you could scoop up with a shovel. And it's snowing outside in New Jersey, and you can go out and just pick up the snow right out in, this is still snow here, right? You can go ahead and use this as a metaphor that there is money laying around in your business and you're making mistakes and not picking it up. Not long ago, I found myself in a situation where I went 0 for 20 sales. And I remember that 20th person that I met with who really needed my help, and I tried so hard to sell her my services. And I was so upset because she needed my help. I cared about her so much and I wanted to help her. And I found myself at the end of the training, or at the end of the offer, I went and I was sitting in my car crying because it wasn't about the fact that I missed the sale and I wasn't going to get paid. Yes, that cost me money. I was most hurt that she needed my help, and I felt like her not getting my products and services, that it was as if I took my fist and I punched her in the face. Like, I feel like that was the amount of good that I gave her, because she needed help and she left without it. So I'm going to challenge you that you need to figure out whatever it's going to take to give people permission to buy your products and services. And on the webinar that I have coming up, I'm going to give you my template, my blueprint. But there's a very dangerous phrase that I'll share with you on the webinar that could hold you back. You might go ahead and say, well, I wasn't even going to share it now, but I'll share it with you anyway. The most dangerous sentence that you can actually say that will attract poverty versus abundance is this: I already know that. That's one you want to write down and obliterate from your language. Like, if that's what you're saying, and then you might not show up on this training to go ahead and get any value because you already know that, you are missing out on the abundance of money and mistakes that you're making, because I don't care what level you're playing the game at. I don't know if you're a beginner or if you're a seasoned expert and professional at closing deals and making sales, but this training, the super simple systematic sales system, is one that is a predictable, sustainable result that you can create on demand. So you can get the clients you want most on demand. Now, I wanted to give you some value right now as a tease into this training that we're going to have. So at the end of the webinar, not only am I going to give you the entire blueprint, and we're going to spend our time customizing this for you on the webinar, but I'm also going to give you the 7 benchmark questions that the top entrepreneurs are using right now to help give people permission to buy their cool stuff, especially high-end, high-priced products and services. So I want to give you some of those benchmark questions now so you can see how powerful they are, and I'll walk you through it a bit because there's a lot we're going to cover on the webinar. So number 1, and this is one of the benchmark questions right on the sheet, is a question that I ask every single time, because people come to our sales trainings, my sales trainings, and when I work together with my wife, they would ask us, what do I got to say to get somebody to buy? And it's not about what you say. It's about the questions that you ask. This is a business of ask, don't tell. So here's the one of the first benchmark questions, not the first, but one of them. What made you curious to take this appointment and work with me today? Now, I'm pointing out a couple of things here that are important about this blueprint. Now, you might change that question, modify it for you and your business, but I'm pointing out to you how I use this blueprint. I literally use this exact blueprint with every single client that I sit down with one-on-one, face-to-face, on the phone, and I have a similar checklist for webinars and trainings that I do in front of audiences. But watch what I just did. I'm looking at the piece of paper. I've got the box, I have a little check mark here so I can check it off. The question is curiosity. And then I read the sentence. Now, this is one of the most powerful things that I can do during a during a sales conversation, because I make sure that my benchmark questions are written down and I don't mess them up. I mean, let's look at the power of a checklist. I hope that, a brain surgeon uses a checklist, right? Your airline pilot uses a checklist. If you don't have a specific system that you follow every single time, then you are just winging it. And that might be great. Maybe you're good at sales. But I'll give you an example. A friend of mine, one of my clients, was a waiter, and he's a phenomenal waiter. He's the type of waiter that every once in a while he would pull down a $100 tip. Like on a $20 tab, he would regularly get a tip that was greater than his bill. And so what we did is I sat down with him and I customized his script, his exact the script that'll close sales for him. And when he put down all of the elements, and instead of just winging it and being a good salesperson, a good server, and he started incorporating all of these things, his tips doubled. He was already making more money than anybody else in when he was waiting tables, and they doubled because he used this system. I'll give you another like testimonial. My wife just met with 4 out of 4 clients in the last week. She closed $15,000 worth of products and services in those couple of conversations. It took one conversation to close some high-end deals. And she uses a system. She uses these benchmark questions. Again, when you show up to this webinar, if you haven't done so already, click the button that's associated to this and register. You can go to go to www.importantfreewebinar.com. Important Free Webinar. You can sign up for this webinar. If you haven't registered, do so right away. I don't know when this is going to be live, by the way. I'm only doing this to a very small group of people, and we're really going to connect so I can find a way to help you as much as possible. The second thing you want to do is you want to make sure you're 15 minutes early, because I want a chance to talk to you and communicate and find out what you need most. This is going to be a very, very small group of people that I'm going to connect with, and I want to talk to you. I want to help you and spend our time together. I've never done this training in this way before with a group of people. It's going to be very small. So you want to be 15 minutes early because we're going to start at the top of the hour. The third thing you want to do is stay till the end, because I'm going to give you this list of benchmark questions that you've got to have. I'll give you another. Let me see. This one is key. This one can make the difference between you making the sale or making a maybe. I mean, let's face it. Yeses are awesome. No's are still good because you get to move on. What is the answer that you would get if you make an offer to someone that will kill you, that will suck your life out of you? I'll give you an example. It's between yes and no. What is it? It's maybe. Man, that one will kill you. And oftentimes, if you don't have this benchmark question in your system that you use every time, and you have one where you can do like I do, check it off, you're going to miss so much power here. So I'm going to give it to you. But here's the thing. This is even this one question is like me giving you a deadly weapon. This next question is so powerful. This whole blueprint is so powerful when you have your deadly weapon. You know, you've got to be trained to use a deadly weapon. I would just send this to you right now, like, here, go ahead, take a snapshot of it and use it. But that's like having a samurai sword. I've studied some martial arts, and I went to a samurai sword thing. We did this weekend training, and they let us use a samurai sword, and this baby was sharp, man. And they warned us. They said, look, be careful. You'll cut your finger off if you're not careful with this thing. It is so sharp. You have to get into the proper position to learn how to use it and move it so that you don't hurt yourself. If I just sent this to you right now, or you just try to show up on the webinar and don't pay much attention, or take this next question, I'm going to go ahead and give you and then explain. It's like you're going to cut yourself. It's not going to work. You're going to quit, give up, and maybe you'll go ahead and mount that beautiful samurai sword on your wall, where it's going to do no good whatsoever. So please stay to the end of the webinar and don't hurt yourself with these things. Remember, the most dangerous statement you can make that is a poverty-attracting statement is, I already know that. What crap. Like, drop that one right away. Okay, here's the question. The section is called Decision Maker. Assuming we were to work together, are you the only decision maker, or is there someone else you make decisions with? And I actually have another little section here that says reschedule. Should you reschedule that meeting? Let's say you're going to be dealing with a business owner and you don't find out until the very end that they're going to check with their wife, or they're going to check with their husband, or they're going to check with their dog, or their preacher, or their accountant, or their business partner. You can waste your entire time communicating with someone if you don't ask the benchmark question of decision maker. And I know this has been a long video. I wanted to keep it short, but now we've gone on for, let me just give you one more. This is so good. You've got to show up. Another one is about anchoring value. And just a second, if you haven't registered yet, register for this event, show up 15 minutes early, and stay till the end. I'll give these to you again. I just want you to see how powerful these are. Anchoring value. Here's the deal. People value things based on what they pay for them. And in fact, I'm giving you a free webinar right now. My biggest concern is you're going to think this was a waste of my time. It cost me nothing, so therefore it is worth nothing. It has a value of nothing. So the biggest thing I want you to do is imagine that you spent $1,000 to come to this webinar to get what I'm going to give you and help you customize. Please, you want to do that. And I'm not using a specific formula right now, or am I? I didn't read that off my checklist, but when I'm having a conversation with the client, I want to anchor value, just like I did on this video, that it's worth at least $1,000 to you. And I'd be more specific, and I'll show you on the training, like, what if you just got one more client? What would that be worth to you? And so here's the question that you want to go ahead and add. It's a benchmark question. Again, you'll customize this to your exact situation. Typically, we charge blank, and it's got a little blank there so you can fill it in. Typically, we charge, and I like to use we versus I, so you'll input I or we or whatever. Typically, I charge blank, but because of blank, you paid blank. So typically, I would charge a lot of money. Let's say my strategy session, I have a jumpstart session that I do with the client, and I will work with them in a jumpstart when they first get started. It's $2,500 for me to go ahead and work with the client one-on-one when they first get started with me. That's their jumpstart. That's their fastest path to cash. Typically, I charge $2,500 for that jumpstart session. Typically, I charge $2,500 for that jumpstart session. But because of blank, because of now you're going to input your thing. Typically, I'd charge money for this webinar. I've never given this away for free. But as a benefit to everybody who supported us creating that our book, my wife and I had our book that just went to #1 bestseller. Because of that, I'm giving this away for free, or you only paid X. This is so important. So here's the deal. Show up early. Show up 15 minutes early so we can have a conversation and I can find out what challenges you're having so I can address those on the call, and you can get as much value from this free webinar as humanly possible. All right, my name's Trevor Crane. I look forward to seeing you there, and stay to the bitter end so you get that whole blueprint and you get the 7 benchmark questions that will change your life. Easily those questions will double your business. Again, I look forward to seeing you in the webinar, and Trevor Crane out.